Um, so, so today, I'm going to start from page 151 in the book. Um, and I'm going to start from the section labeled Amplify the Source of Inspiration. The Golden Circle is not just a communication tool. It also provides some insight into how great organizations are organized. As we start to add dimension to the concept of the Golden Circle, it is no longer helpful to look at it as a purely two-dimensional model. If it is to provide any real value in how to build a great organization in our very three-dimensional world, the Golden Circle needs to be three-dimensional. The good news is, it is. It is, in fact, a top-down view of a cone. Turn it on its side and you can see its full value. The cone represents a company or an organization, an inherently hierarchical and organized system. Sitting at the top of the system, representing the why, is a leader. In the case of a company, that's usually the CEO, or at least we hope it is. The next level down, the how level, typically includes the senior executives who are inspired by the leader's vision and know how to bring it to life. Don't forget that a why is just a belief. Hows are the actions we take to realize that belief, and what are the results of those actions? No matter how charismatic or inspiring the leader is, if there are not people in the organization inspired to bring that vision to reality, to build an infrastructure with systems and processes, then at best, inefficiency reigns, and at worst, failure results. In this rendering, the how level represents a person or a small group responsible for building the infrastructure that can make a why tangible. That may happen in marketing, operations, finance, human resources, and all the other C-suite departments. Beneath that, at the what level, is where the rubber meets the road. It is at this level that the majority of the employees sit and where all the tangible stuff actually happens. Hi, somebody's asked for the page number. And as I said, it's page 152 now in the book that we're on. And we're starting from I Have a Dream. So I'm continuing from I Have a Dream. I have a dream, and he's got the plan. Dr. King said he had a dream, and he inspired people to make his dream their own. What Ralph Abernathy lent the movement was something else. He knew what it would take to realize that dream, and he showed people how to do it. He gave the dream structure. Dr. King spoke about the philosophical implications of the movement, while Abernathy, Dr. King's one-time mentor, longtime friend, and financial secretary, and treasurer of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, would help people understand the specific steps they needed to take. Now, Abernathy would tell the audience, following a rousing address by Dr. King, "Let me tell you what that means for tomorrow morning." Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was the leader, but he didn't change America alone. Though Dr. King inspired the movement to actually move people requires organizing. As in the case with almost all great leaders, there were others around Dr. King who knew better how to do that. For every great leader, for every why type, there is an inspired how type, or group of how types, who take the intangible cause and build the infrastructure that can give it life. The infrastructure is what actually makes any measurable change or success possible. The leader sits at the top of the cone, at the start, the point of why, while the how types sit below and are responsible for actually making things happen. The leader imagines the destination, and the how types found the route to get there. A destination without a route leads to meandering and inefficiency, something a great many why types will experience without the help of others to ground them. A route without a destination, however, may be efficient, but to what end? It's all fine and good to know how to drive, but it's more fulfilling when you have a place to go. For Dr. King, Ralph Abernathy was one of those he inspired, and who knew how to make the cause actionable and tangible. Dr. King's job was to interpret the ideology and theology of nonviolence, said Abernathy. My job was more simple and down to earth. I would tell people, don't ride those buses. In every case of a charismatic leader who ever achieved anything of significance, there was always a person or small group lurking in the shadows who knew how to take the vision and make it a reality. Dr. King had a dream, but no matter how inspiring a dream may be, a dream that cannot come to life stays a dream. Dr. King dreamed of many of the same things as countless other African Americans who grew up in the pre-civil rights South. He spoke of many of the same themes. He felt the same outrage perpetrated by an unjust system. But it was King's unflappable optimism and his words that inspired a population. Dr. King didn't change America by himself. He wasn't a legislator, for example, but legislation was created to give all people in the United States equal rights, regardless of skin color. It wasn't Dr. King who changed America. It was the movement of millions of others whom he inspired that changed the course of history. But how do you organize millions of people? Forget millions, how do you organize hundreds or tens of people? The vision and charisma of the leader are enough to attract the innovators and the early adopters. Trusting their guts and their intuition, these people will make the greatest sacrifices to help see the vision become a reality. With each success, with every tangible demonstration that the vision can in fact become reality, the more practical-minded majority starts to take interest. What was previously just a dream soon becomes a provable and tangible reality. And when that happens, a tipping point can be reached, and then things really get moving. Those who know why need those who know how. The pessimists are usually right. To paraphrase Thomas Friedman, author of The World is Flat, but it's the optimists who change the world. Bill Gates imagined a world in which the computer could help us all reach our greatest potential. And it happened. Now he imagines a world in which malaria does not exist. And it will happen. The Wright brothers imagined a world in which we'd all take to the skies as easily as we catch the bus. And it happened. Why types have the power to change the course of industries or even the world. If only they knew how. Why types are the visionaries, the ones with the overactive imaginations. They tend to be optimists who believe that all the things they imagine can actually be accomplished. How types live more in the here and now. They are the realists and have a clearer sense of all things practical. Why types are focused on the things most people can't see, like the future. How types are focused on things most people can see and tend to be better at building structures and processes and getting things done. One is not better than the other. They are just different ways people naturally see and experience the world. Gates is a Y type. So were the Wright brothers and Steve Jobs and Herb Kelleher. But they didn't do it alone. They couldn't. They needed those who knew how. If it hadn't been for my big brother, I'd have been in jail several times for checks bouncing, said Walt Disney, only half joking, to a Los Angeles audience in 1957. I never knew what was in the bank. He kept me on the straight and narrow. Walt Disney was a Y type, a dreamer whose dream came true thanks to the help of his more sensible older brother Roy, a How type. Walt Disney began his career creating cartoon drawings for advertisements, but quickly moved to making animated movies. It was 1923 and Hollywood was emerging as the heart of the movie business, and Walt wanted to be part of it. Roy, who was 8 years older, had been working at a bank. Roy was always in awe of his brother's talent and imagination, but he also knew that Walt was prone to taking risks and to neglecting business affairs. Like all Y guys, Walt was busy thinking about what the future looked like and often forget he was living in the present. Walt Disney dreamed, drew, and imagined. Roy stayed in the shadow, forming an empire, wrote Bob Thomas, a Disney biographer. A brilliant financier and businessman, Roy helped turn Walt Disney's dreams into reality, building the company that bears his brother's name. It was Roy who founded the Buena Vista Distribution Company that made Disney films a central part of American childhood. It was Roy who created the merchandising business that transformed Disney characters into household names. And like almost every How type, Roy never wanted to be the front man. He preferred to stay in the background and focus on how to build his brother's vision. Most people in the world are How types. Most people are quite functional in the real world and can do their jobs and do that very well. Some may be very successful and even make millions of dollars, but they will never build billion-dollar businesses or change the world. How types don't need Y types to do well. But Y guys, for all their vision and imagination, often get the short end of the stick. Without someone inspired by their vision and the knowledge to make it a reality, most Y types end up as starving visionaries, people with all the answers, but never accomplishing much themselves. Although so many of them fancy themselves visionaries, in reality, most successful entrepreneurs are How types. Ask an entrepreneur what they love about being an entrepreneur, and most will tell you they love to build things. That they talk about building is a sure clue that they know how to get things done. A business is a structure, systems and processes that need to be assembled. It is the How types who are more adept at building those processes and systems. But most companies, no matter how well built, do not become billion-dollar businesses or change the course of industries. To reach the billion-dollar status, to alter the course of an industry, requires a very special and rare partnership between one who knows why and those who know how. In nearly every case of a person or an organization that has gone on to inspire people and do great things, there exists the special partnership between why and how. Bill Gates, for example, may have been the visionary who imagined a world with a PC on every desk. But Paul Allen built the company. Herb Kelleher was able to personify and preach the cause of freedom. But it was Roland King who came up with the idea for Southwest Airlines. Steve Jobs is the rebel's evangelist, but Steve Wozniak is the engineer who made the Apple work. Jobs had the vision, Woz had the goods. It is the partnership of a vision of the future and the talent to get it done that makes an organization great. This relationship starts to clarify the difference between a vision statement and a mission statement in an organization. The vision is the public statement of the founder's intent, why the company exists. It is literally the vision of a future that does not yet exist. The mission statement is a description of the route, the guiding principles, how the company intends to create that future. When both of those things are stated clearly, the why type and the how type are both certain about their roles in the partnership. Both are working together with clarity of purpose and a plan to get there. For it to work, however, it requires more than a set of skills. It requires trust. As discussed at length in part 3, trusting relationships are invaluable for us to feel safe. Our ability to trust people or organizations allows us to take risks and feel supported in our efforts. And perhaps the most trusting relationship that exists is between the visionary and the builder, the why guy and the how guy. In organizations able to inspire, the best chief executives are why types, people who wake up every day to lead a cause and not just run a company. In these organizations, the best chief financial officers and chief operating officers are high-performing how types. Those with the strength of ego to admit they are not visionaries themselves, but they are inspired by the leader's vision and know how to build the structure that can bring it to life. The best how types generally do not want to be out front preaching the vision. They prefer to work behind the scenes to build the systems that can make the vision a reality. It takes the combined skill and effort of both for great things to happen. It's not an accident that these unions of why and how so often come from families or old friendships. A shared upbringing and life experience increases the probability of a shared set of values and beliefs. In the case of family or childhood friends, upbringing and common experiences are nearly exactly the same. That's not to say you can't find a good partner somewhere else. It's just that growing up with somebody and having a common life experience increases the likelihood of a shared common worldview. Walt Disney and Roy Disney were brothers. Bill Gates and Paul Allen went to high school together in Seattle. Herb Kelleher was Roland King's divorce attorney and old friend. Martin Luther King Jr. and Ralph Abernathy both preached in Birmingham long before the civil rights movement took form. And Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak were best friends in high school. The list goes on. To run or to lead. For all the talented how types running today's organizations, they can achieve success that will last their lifetimes. But they will spend their lifetimes running their companies. There are many ways to be successful and drive profits. Any number of manipulations, only some of which I've touched upon in this book, work quite well. Even the ability to create a tipping point is possible without creating lasting change. It's called a fad. But great organizations function exactly like any social movement. They inspire people to talk about a product or idea, include that product in the context of their lifestyle, share the idea, or even find ways to advance the prosperity of the organization itself. Great organizations not only excite the human spirit, they inspire people to take part in helping to advance the cause without needing to pay them or incentivize them in any particular way. No cashback incentives or mail-in rebates required. People feel compelled to spread the word, not because they have to, but because they want to. They willingly take up arms to share the message that inspires them. Build a megaphone that works. After a 3-month selection process, BCI finally chose a new ad agency to help develop a campaign to launch their new product line. Big Company Incorporated is a well-known brand operating in a fairly cluttered market space. As a manufacturer, their products are sold via a third-party sales force, often on the shelves of big box retailers, so they don't have direct control over the sales process. The best they can do is to try to influence the sale from a distance with marketing. BCI is a good company with a strong culture. The employees respect the management, and in general, the company does good work. But over the years, the competition has grown fairly stiff. And although BCI has a good product and competitive pricing, it is still tough to maintain strong growth year over year. This year, BCI management is particularly excited because the company is launching a new product they really think will make BCI stand out. To help promote it, BCI's agency has launched a major new ad campaign. From the leading maker, says the new ad, comes the newest, most innovative product you've ever seen. The ad goes on to talk about all the new features and benefits, and includes something about the the quality you've come to expect from BCI, something the BCI executives felt quite strongly about including. BCI executives have worked hard to build their company's reputation, and they want to leverage it. They are very excited about their new campaign and are really banking on the success of this product to help drive sales in general. They know they do good work, and they want to get the message out. They need it to be loud, and with a budget of millions of dollars to advertise their new product, in that respect, BCI succeeds. But there is a problem. BCI and their agency did a good job of telling people about their new product. The work was quite creative. They were able to explain what was new and special about their latest innovation. And focus groups agreed that the new product was much better than that of the competition. The millions of dollars in media ensured that lots of people would see their advertising and see it often. Their reach and frequency, the measurement commonly used by ad agencies to gauge the number of people exposed to the advertising, was very good. There is no doubt that their message was loud. The problem was, it wasn't clear. It was all what and how and no why. Even though people learned what the product did, no one knew what BCI believed. The good news is, it's not a complete loss. The products will sell as long as the ads on the air and the promotions remain competitive. It's an effective strategy, but an expensive way to make money. What if Martin Luther King had developed a comprehensive 12-point plan about achieving civil rights in America? A plan more comprehensive than any other plan for civil rights ever offered. Booming through the speakers that summer's day in 1963, his message would have been loud. Microphones, like advertising and PR, are fantastic for making sure a message is heard. Like BCI, King's message would still have reached thousands of people. But his belief would not have been clear. Volume is reasonably easy to achieve. All it takes is money or stunts. Money can pay to keep a message front and center, and publicity stunts are good at getting on the news. But neither plants seeds of loyalty. Many reading this may remember that Oprah Winfrey once gave away a free car to every member of her studio audience. It happened several years ago, in 2004, and still people refer to the stunt. But how many can recall the model of car she gave away? That's the problem. It was Pontiac that donated $7 million worth of cars, 276 of their new G6 model to be exact. And it was Pontiac that saw the stunt as a way to market their new car. Yet, although the stunt worked well to reinforce Oprah's generous nature, something which we are all very familiar, few remember that Pontiac was a part of the event. Worse, the stunt didn't do anything to reinforce some purpose, cause, or belief that Pontiac represents. We had no idea what Pontiac's why was before the stunt. So it's hard for the publicity stunt to do much more than, well, be a stunt to get some publicity. With no sense of why, there is nothing else it's doing. For a message to have real impact, to affect behavior and seed loyalty, it needs more than publicity. It needs to publicize some higher purpose, cause, or belief to which those with similar values and beliefs can relate. Only then can the message create any lasting mass market success. For a stunt to appeal to the left side of the curve of the law of diffusion, why the stunt is being performed, beyond the desire to generate press, must be clear. Though there may be short-term benefits without clarity, loud is nothing more than excess volume, or in business vernacular, clutter. And companies wonder why differentiation is such a challenge these days. Have you heard the volume coming from some of them? In contrast, what would have been the impact of Dr. King's speech had he not had a microphone and loudspeakers? His vision would have been no less clear. His words would have been no less inspiring. He knew what he believed, and he spoke with passion and charisma about that belief. But only the few people with front row seats would have been inspired by those words. A leader with a cause, whether it be an individual or an organization, must have a megaphone through which to deliver his message. And it must be clear and loud to work. Clarity of purpose, cause, or belief is important, but it is equally important that people hear you. For a why to have the power to move people, it must not only be clear, it must be amplified to reach enough people to tip the scale. It's no coincidence that the three-dimensional golden circle is a cone. It is, in practice, a megaphone. An organization effectively becomes the vessel through which a person with a clear purpose, cause, or belief can speak to the outside world. Before a megaphone to work, clarity must come first. Without a clear message, what will you amplify? Say it only if you believe it. Dr. King used his megaphone to rally throngs of people to follow him in pursuit of social justice. The Wright brothers used their megaphone to rally their local community to help them build the technology that could change the world. Thousands of people heard John F. Kennedy's belief in service and rallied to put a man on the moon in less than a decade. The ability to excite and inspire people to go out of their way to contribute to something bigger than themselves is not unique to social causes. Any organization is capable of building a megaphone that can achieve a huge impact. In fact, it is one of the defining factors that makes an organization great. Great organizations don't just drive profits, they lead people, and they change the course of industries and sometimes our lives in the process. A clear sense of why sets expectations. When we don't know an organization's why, we don't know what to expect. So we expect the minimum: price, quality, service, features, the commodity stuff. But when we do have a sense for the why, we expect more. For those not comfortable being held to a higher standard, I strongly advise against trying to learn your why or keeping your golden circle in balance. Higher standards are hard to maintain. It requires the discipline to constantly talk about and remind everyone why the organization exists in the first place. It requires that everyone in the organization be held accountable to how you do things, to your values and guiding principles. And it takes time and effort to ensure that everything you say and do is consistent with your why. But for those willing to put in the effort, there are some great advantages. Richard Branson first built Virgin Records into a multi-billion-dollar retail music brand. Then he started a successful record label. Later, he started an airline that is today considered one of the premier airlines in the world. He then started a soda brand, wedding planning company, insurance company, and mobile phone service. And the list goes on. Likewise, Apple sells us computers, mobile phones, DVRs, and MP3 players, and has replicated their capacity for innovation again and again. The ability of some companies not to just succeed, but to repeat their success is due to the loyal followings they command. The throngs of people who root for their success. In the business world, they say Apple is a lifestyle brand. They underestimate Apple's power. Gucci is a lifestyle brand. Apple changes the course of industries. By any definition, these few companies don't function like corporate entities. They exist as social movements. Okay, I actually think that that's a good place to stop because the next section goes up for quite some time. So, does anybody have any questions? Anything that they'd like to share or anything that they want to discuss? Anyone want to share any examples of why type people or how types that they thought of when reading this book?
Good evening, Anushka. This is Taranjeet
Hi.
here.
Hi.
Hi. Hope you're doing well. The first day of the week and like Friday I was absent. I have read that pages what I missed, but you read very well for us. Thank you so much. Here when we talk about why and how type of people, so as it is very well said that if somebody is not of your same thought process, if somebody who cannot share your ideas, if he is not on the same page, it is very difficult to carry out. Like the why people, they need the how people to carry out their ideas. Because
Yeah.
it is, I would say, it is a combined show. It is not that something that I can do on my own. Everything I
Yeah.
can do on my own. Like in the case of Walt Disney and Ron Disney or Roy
Mm.
Disney, Walt Disney had the idea of why, but he
Yeah.
did not know how to carry out things, the finances
Yeah.
and so many other nitty-gritty things, which Roy was good at. So
Yeah.
had Ron not been there for Walt Disney, the company wouldn't have achieved such great heights, what it has been doing. Same with
Yeah.
Apple also, and same with Dr. Martin Luther King. Same thing, if you have a why, that is not sufficient.
Yeah.
You need to have a how also. The why needs a how to complement it.
Yeah.
So that is my take from this today's reading.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's kind of equally important to know if you're a why person or a how person, and to accept that as a why person, you need a how person. And similarly, if you're a how person, to understand that how is what you excel at, and you might need someone else to be your why person if you want to really, cause change.
And truly said, if the why and the hows come together, they become a societal change. It is not a company, it is not a corporate
Yeah,
entity. It becomes a societal change.
yeah, for sure. Great.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much for contributing. I mean, I know everyone has a different way of doing these sessions, or there's no set way, but at least I'm going to be doing the Monday sessions, and I know there's not many of us on the call, but I'd love to try and make these sessions a bit more interactive. So all I would ask is that when you guys come to these sessions, you maybe have a couple of examples or takeaways or things in mind so we can talk about it, discuss it, because it helps us, it'll help all of us get more from the book, rather than just kind of reading it blankly.
You have a beautiful voice, Anushka. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. All right, have a great evening or
Yeah.
night.
Good
Take
night.
care.
Good night. Take care.
Bye. Bye.